This is it. This is the amateur hour where Dani Wexelman, my co-host, and senior vice president and producer of this show, nailed it. This is an incredible show with two great conversations, some great scouting insight that's really pertinent. But Dani, well done. I want to start with Rhett Lowder. The loud hair, the loud arm, the great story of being COVID shut down in a sense because it hit him, where he was, ranked very, very low, like 491, 197th right-handed pitcher. And that's not the perfect game scout's fault that did the ranking. That's COVID's fault. So many players lost their way. A lot of them quit or got frustrated. And then there's Rhett Lowder. And here he is at Wake Forest, one of the top pitchers in the country, going to be drafted very high. I love this. The man who makes the most of his college experience and grows up post-COVID to become a dude.
If you search his name on Twitter, everything that pops up is about his secondary pitches, his breaking balls, his changeup specifically. And all of the videos, the hitters just look silly. They just look silly because of what Rhett does. Not because of the hitter, but because Rhett is, like, the way that he's able to manipulate those pitches. And it's interesting because if you go back to high school, he was in the National Art Honor Society. Maybe I stretched a little bit. He likes art, he's creative, he's painting on the plate. We like to stretch sometimes, but there's a correlation, and he shares a little bit about that and where he comes from. A little town in North Carolina, Albemarle, and how that's shaped him and how that's made him who he is. And all you'll see on the mound is him being masterful and the work that he's put in. But if you go all the way back to home, back to the farm, back to the small town, that really helps tell you, I think, the story of who Rhett Lowder is.
Yeah, I would agree. And roots tie into Charles McAdoo as well, whether it's his brother who played college baseball, who's now in the United States Marine Corps, whether it's athletic family ties, uncles who played or cousins who played in the NBA, won championships. But for me, this is about Charles, a player who, again, had the older brother and admitted, I didn't ask him that many questions. I had it all figured out. I've raised 4. I know what that looks like. Not asking questions, having it all figured out. You've worked with one of them quite a bit. I understand what that's like. Don't pass this along to her, by the way. But now Charles has experienced it, much like she has. He's experienced it, and he understands that he didn't know it all, but now he's learning. And as he learns himself. And much like Rhett Lowder, this is a guy who in July is going to have his name called. And I think the best part for Charles McAdoo, San Jose State, who's going to have his name called, is his reaction to reflecting upon getting to this point. I think that was the best part of the conversation because albeit he's put in so much work, now he's kind of back-studied all these people he can lean on. He's back-leaned on those people and understood who he is. And when he gets to the fact where it could be the ultimate look-at-me moment, the draft, and the chance to go out in your job, because he's put in the work, they haven't. All he talked about was them. And I thought it was such a cool conversation. I'm excited to see where San Jose State star Charles McAdoo goes. I really am.
Don't fast forward. Like, Daron sold it. It's an amazing, amazing quote. What Charles says about the draft and being a prospect is probably one of the best we've heard, the most transparent answers we maybe have ever had in the entirety of this podcast. I might be a little hyperbole here, but don't fast forward. Stay on the course. But when you get to Charles, you're going to learn about his family and his smile when he starts talking about his mom, his dad, his brother, his grandma. I mean, I get a little teary-eyed. The way that he speaks about them and what they mean to him and his story and how he's writing his own, because he does have family who found success at the pro level. But this is all about Charles. And I was really excited that we had a chance to talk to him. I didn't know much about him, but I think he might be one of the best that we've had on the show.
Yeah, really excited about it, and really excited about the rest of the show. Perfect Game, College Baseball. Hunter Pence is my co-host. Great part of a conversation with Scott Berry at Southern Miss. They're always counted on to be hosting and playing deep into the postseason. Who cares if they're a mid-major? Scott doesn't care, and he's kind of a no-excuses guy, too. He's fun. Jheremy Brown went to a large event. You went to this large event in Houston. Kind of the top 13, 14 U players in the country gathered there. And what that means is recruiting. That's college recruiting. That's not pro scouting yet, but that's college recruiting. Like it or not, that's how it works. If you're elite at that age, you may have already committed or you may be committing very, very soon. So Jheremy Brown pitches in. And then I had a chance to be with Tyler Russo at the Perfect Game High School Showdown. There were some silly things going on there too. There was a pitcher throwing 98, a PG All-American. You'll want to listen to hear about him. There was incredible speed. There was a defender for a young man who was outside of that PG All-American selection who in hindsight probably should have been. So some great stuff from our scouts. This is a heck of a show. Let's get it going.
All right, Rhett Lowder, I would love to start by you taking us home, back to your hometown, Albemarle, North Carolina. And I'm hoping you can kind of show us around, paint us a picture of what it was like growing up there and how that's shaped you.
It's a really small town. I know it's not really near anything. You're kind of like in the middle of Winston-Salem, where I'm at now, Charlotte and Raleigh. I'm kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And I live on a farm, actually, so it's like a little farm town. I have a cotton field in my front yard, my grandpa's farm. So that's kind of like what you're like driving through the town. You see a lot of just fields and corn and cotton. But I went to a small high school. I graduated with like barely any kids, a little 1A high school, public high school in North Carolina. So I think that was so I played with the same guys growing up from middle or even elementary school until I graduated, and that's kind of that's where I fell in love with baseball and just like playing with those guys. It made me appreciate what I had back then and what I appreciate now, like with this team.
Can we say that you're country strong?
I guess so, yeah. A lot of people can't tell or can't guess that I'm from a farm, but I just like watching me play and looking at me. But yeah, I guess so.
If you had to name maybe one or two people who have helped shape you and have been maybe some of your day ones from home or just growing up, who would that be?
Yeah, I mean, my go-to would have to be my two older brothers. I'm the youngest, so when you have two older brothers, you kind of just want to do everything that they do, but be better at it. So we all played baseball, and they played it, so that's probably the main reason I picked it up. But I stuck with it, and I wanted to be better than those guys. And they were 6 years older than me and 3 years older than me, so it wasn't easy. I was a little bit smaller than them throughout my whole life, but I've leaned on those guys for a while, and I give a lot of credit to them.
What are their names?
Luke and Will. Luke's the oldest, and Will is middle, 3 years older.
And have their baseball careers, Luke and Will, come to an end?
Yeah, they played in high school, but they actually went the art route. I kind of my art skills came from them too. I paint and draw a little bit, but my oldest brother went to School of the Arts in Winston-Salem for directing, and then my middle brother is in grad school for creative writing. So it's kind of like an artistic family, but I went the baseball route.
That's beautiful. Do they still live through you, connect with you, watch you play? You're the reason, they're the reason that you play. Do they still get jacked up when you perform?
Oh, yeah, all the time. They text me after every game, before the game, always posting stuff on social media, everything. They're following along. They come to the games when they can. It's a little bit hard to get here from Texas, but they keep up for sure.
So I wanted to follow up on one more thing, and then I certainly have a list of questions I'd like to ask just in listening to your answers. Tell me everything you can tell me about grandfather's farm. Tell me about grandfather and that lineage that you have. There's got to be some history there. Anytime that you call home a farm that was a family earning plot years and generations ago, I'd love to know more about your grandfather and the farm.
Yeah, I mean, it's been within the family for a while. My dad has lived on the same road his whole life. My grandparents live 2 doors down, or like 2 houses down. We live right beside the farm. So he hasn't moved off Fink Road since he was born, really. So that's kind of what it's like. And I tried not to do too much work over there. I spent a lot of time on the farm, but I tried not to do too much work over there. There's a lot of chicken houses, and it doesn't smell great, and it's a lot of hard work. But, the less time working over there, more time playing is kind of what I wanted to do.
No, I think the male offspring sent a very strong message. We love you. We thank you, Family Farm, for providing for us. We're going to play baseball and be creative. Good luck to you. We love you. We're going to go do those things. One quick follow-up, and two is Ryan Cusick, because Ryan was a favorite of ours, and he came on multiple shows with us, and Gosh, I can remember interviewing him several times, and just the way he went about his business that final year. He was a wonderful conversation. Well, that was your first year. Although when I look at your numbers, you pitched a lot, man. You took a weekend responsibility. Ryan was Friday. You were taking that weekend responsibility too. How much of you is him? How much did you learn from him watching him in that draft year? How much did you learn?
Oh, I learned a ton from him. He was a great guy just to ask questions. He never shied away. I felt comfortable talking to him from a very early point. I still talk to him. I talked to him like just the other week, maybe a week or two ago. And most of like the routine I have day to day within starts comes a lot from him. I saw him. He not just because I just thought that's how it's supposed to be done. I saw him doing his own scouting reports, and now that's something I do every week, and it's all credit to him. And just the way he prepped, some of his throwing patterns, his lifting patterns. I just kind of took a little pieces of that, and we've talked through a lot of things, and so I give him ton of credit to him. He's a great conversation. Learn a ton from him.
I mean, what incredible help to have from a guy like Ryan Cusick to try to sort out who you are, what your routine is. But you built off yourself too. I mean, you've created something really special on your own. As Daron said, I mean, you had a spot your freshman year that doesn't always happen, and then the next season you become the ACC Pitcher of the Year, the first in Wake Forest history. So I'd like to know what your priorities were from your freshman year to sophomore year to take such a giant leap.
Yeah, I mean, I actually give a lot of credit to being pitching that freshman year. I got beat up a couple times, and it kind of made me. I had some good outings also though, so kind of seeing those ups and downs, and I kind of knew what to handle. Going in there, I didn't know really what to expect. Got thrown in there after a couple injuries into the rotation. So, I think it was good that I got beat up a little bit. And I was just another year in college baseball. I kind of got a little bit smarter. My body obviously developed a little bit. I was throwing a little bit harder, but I don't think that was the main reasons why and our team was a big reason because we got a lot better as a whole, which made it a little bit easier to pitch when you have a much better team behind you. We were scoring a ton of runs, and it was just a great culture that we all wanted to play for each other. So it was just a collection of those things.
The growing pains, those aren't always fun, but often necessary, often learn a ton from them, even if they're not the most fun thing to go through. But what were some of the areas that you did grow in, whether it was on the field or off the field?
Yeah, one of the biggest takeaways for me was my freshman year. I feel like it was a week-to-week change. I know I had a really good outing at Louisville one week, and then it was just the next week I was giving up like 5 or 6 earned runs in like the fourth inning. It can change so fast. So it was just knowing that and being through it. I felt some of the worst. I felt some of the best, and I was kind of just trying to even out that roller coaster. Also, it was kind of, I don't know, it's going to sound bad, but it was like a sense of relieving that I've been through. I mean, I gave up like 3 home runs back to back to back at Florida State, so I was like, okay, I've been through some of the worst possible things you can go through, and I'm not really scared of doing that because I've already done it and I know what it feels like. So
we've been raised as baseball fans, especially your generation, but even me as a modern fan, that wins don't matter. But there is something to pitching well enough to earn that win. Yeah, they really aren't a true indicator in the big leagues about how good a pitcher is. But how much does it mean to you that you took the baseball 16 times last year and you won 11 of those times? Again, the team win is most important, but in order to get a win, you got to pitch a big boy outing. You have to pitch deeper into the game. So how much does it mean to you, if wins don't matter, that you did win 11 games?
Yeah, the stat is, you can break it down however you want, but I know going back to my first year, I felt like me and Cusick had this talk all the time. Like when I was going bad, he was like, your goal, and this is the same thing he said for him his freshman year, was when you come out of the game to leave the team in a position to win. That was my only goal my freshman year. And then obviously when I developed a little bit more, started taking the ball on Friday nights, I knew I had to up that goal a little bit, but I knew that I had 16 or so, I don't know how many starts I had freshman year, but I had 16 starts trying to put my team in a position to win. Now I'm obviously better, and I've got that year under my belt. I now want to win the game for my team. So I think having that first year and then developing and having a better team, they made it easier. I wouldn't take credit for all those wins because we put up a ton of runs. But I've just been through it, and I kind of wanted to do a little bit more than just give us a chance.
Yeah, well, they put up a ton, but you had to give up less than a ton on those nights. You still had to go 5+, and if they gave you 12, you had to give up 11 or fewer. It doesn't matter. I mean,
that's true.
You still had to win. I want to talk about your second start of the season. No matter when we edit this, I want to talk about the second start of the season against Binghamton, because here's the old minor league pitcher in me. What stood out? You dealt, right? I mean, you gave up just one hit, you walked just one, you struck out 8. But I'm most impressed, and you probably have talked about this a lot, in your 7 innings of work that you threw all of 87 pitches. Describe the efficiency meets the missing the bats, and talk to me about efficiency. Why did that happen so well in that second start?
Yeah, those are my favorite starts, when I can create action, create swing decisions. They're not always gonna get out in the first 3 pitches, but you want to try your best. Just keep filling up the zone. That day, I had a good mix of all my stuff, and I was just filling up the zone. And if they were putting it in play, we were making some good plays behind me. And then if I was also missing a few bats, it was a good combination of both, which is nice.
So here's what I saw, by the way, looking at some of the clips. I saw changeups to righties. I saw sliders to lefties. I see a man who appears to be unafraid to throw any of his pitches to either side of the plate. Love that. Certainly love that. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah. I try to be a little bit unpredictable up there.
Yeah, the lefties didn't like that slide. They
No,
didn't look like they liked it at all.
They don't like that.
You untied their shoelaces with it a couple of times.
All right, so in high school, you were in the National Art Honor Society. You said that your brother's also creative as well. It runs in the family. Can we put any stock, or is it a stretch to say that what you do on the mound, your painting, you're masterful, there's something tied to the creative genes that you have too?
There has to be some correlation to the art I used to do and then the game. I don't know how high of a correlation, but there's got to be something. I'm not going to give it a lot of the credit, but there's got to be a little bit in there.
What kind of art did you do? Are you still drawing or painting or dabbling at all when you have time?
I try to, but it's just so hard to find time. I've done a little bit. My coach wants me to get him a piece done right now, but I've told him I'll do it since the end of last season, and I'm still a little bit away. But I used to do a lot of like oil painting and drawing. I did portraits was my thing.
Are those available? Yeah, where are those? Can we see those?
Yeah, they're on Twitter. They're probably swirling on Twitter somewhere.
I will say this is quite artistic. I mean, that's pretty well done. That's off your Instagram.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good picture.
This is quite artistic.
Yeah.
That's pretty well done. I mean, I know you didn't take that one. I'm going to guess you took that one, though.
Yeah.
That's quite artistic.
Yeah, I did take that one. I'll give myself credit
For those
for
of you listening to the podcast, it's Rhett Lowder on Instagram, and it's of course the beautiful Netherlands when he won that beautiful medal this summer. Sorry, Dani, I interrupted.
I did want to ask you, because I do think the way that you pitch and the way that you can locate your secondary pitches is fascinating to watch. It's exciting to watch. So who are the people or who's the person who helped you develop those pitches and then also figure out a way to land them, locate them for strikes?
Yeah, I give the most credit just reps. I've pitched a lot in my life. I threw a ton of innings in high school, even though, like we said before this, I wasn't throwing very hard, but it's still reps pitching 60 feet away, and it kind of turns into muscle memory. And it's all confidence. My slider's probably taken the biggest step up from my time here at Wake, and that's just, it gets better the more I throw it. Obviously, I give credit to, I've had 2 pitching coaches here, and I give a lot of credit to them, bouncing ideas off them, changing different grips. Obviously, guys like Cusick and like teammates I have now, just running ideas through them and just trying different things out and not being afraid to just fail. So.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. This is super insightful stuff.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Charles McAdoo, I've been excited for you to join us. I've been excited as a Californian to get to know a young man who's done so much and done it at San Jose State. Also an incredible football player. I want to get into that. But I love the Mountain West Conference. They push all the other conferences. I get to call a ton of Mountain West basketball. I'm excited, Charles McAdoo, to share your story and to get to know a lot more about you. Thanks for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for reaching out. Appreciate it.
So, Charles, I want to dive in on the transition between the 21 season and the 22 season. You played in the Expedition League, you got regular playing time, but the numbers are dramatic. Who you were as a player in 21 in comparison to the All-American caliber year you had in 22. What changed for you, whether it be physically, whether it be your mind, whether it be your swing? Talk about the transition, 21 to 22.
In 21, as a freshman, as an early developing freshman, it's a lot harder to get on the field if you're not like adept to the game, and you haven't had a college at bat and you don't understand how the college game works. And I didn't really know that, even though I do have a brother that played baseball also, and at the collegiate level at Santa Barbara. I didn't ask him enough questions to understand how the game worked. And going into that first season, I was like super excited to see what I could do. And I didn't get as much playing time as I wanted, but that was okay. I understand that. I understand that now. Like, that was probably a good thing, just getting thrown in the fire like that, not being ready to play. I feel like that would have hindered me more than helped me. And then going off to Expedition League in the summer, getting around like 250 at bats and understanding the game a little bit better, how to play, and really playing a position I never played before in my life. Like, I started playing the outfield. I came into San Jose as a third baseman, and I never really got to play any other position at third base and shortstop, and maybe a little bit of second base when I was younger. So going to the Expedition League and get out there and figure out how to play all these other positions really helped my growth, and understand how people were gonna pitch me, how they're gonna throw to me and stuff. I think really set the baseline for coming in the 22 and the 21 fall.
So what did you tap into in your swing when you played in the Expedition League? When you get a daily minor league type lifestyle, when you're hitting 4 times a night every single day, mechanically, if you don't mind, what did you tap into in your swing? What changed for you specifically?
I knew this a little bit, but I didn't really understand. I realized I was a little bit stronger than I thought I was. I also realized that I didn't need to use all of it when I was swinging. Like, yeah, like I don't know how to explain this. I didn't need to swing as hard as I could to hit the ball far. I just needed to, get to an optimal hitting position with good posture, and I realized that that's all I really needed to do to hit the ball hard anywhere on the field.
What's a revelation like that look like, feel like? Was there a moment you remember thinking, oh, wait, I figured this out a little bit?
Well, that summer I was still a bit of an amateur hitter, but I realized that a little bit when I was hitting balls in the gaps and stuff when I was on my front foot with one hand. And I started to realize, I was like, oh, I'm a little bit stronger than I thought.
I love that answer. That's a really good answer. I'd like to go back. Your brother Michael, who played at Santa Barbara. You mentioned him. So what do you think now you gained from him? Is if you didn't ask him then, what are the conversations like now, and how does he help you now?
The conversations now is more like he told me this already. What, like I should have listened or something like that. Like, he's like, you're not always gonna get the pitch you want to hit like early on, and you're gonna get like certain pitches and certain counts. And he like there was a time before I went back to school. It was in 2022 on winter break, and he was still home. He went over. He made a list. He made a list, and he's like, "What do you think you're going to get in these counts? What pitches do you think you're going to get in these counts from a right-handed pitcher, or a left-handed pitcher?" And I'm like, I don't know. That's a good question. So yeah, though it was more like I told you this, and now it's more like hit. Be on time for the fastball. Hit the ball straight, far, and hard.
I'm guessing, too, your conversations have changed just a little bit. When you go from a college baseball player to being a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps, I'm guessing your conversations now maybe take on a different tone.
Yeah, he I don't think he talks to too many people that are outside of the military, so So when he talks to me, it's just like a breath of fresh air, and it's like he has to get used to talking to somebody that's not in the military. It's actually a good time. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I would imagine, and it's a bold choice he made. And when you get a chance, thank him on behalf of us for his service. So when I did a deep dive on you in the San Jose Baseball website, I noticed that you were all Mountain West. Twice, though, you were academic all Mountain West. So it leads me to kind of wonder, if I took baseball away, what are you passionate learning about? When you get in the classroom, what are the things that mean the most to you?
Well, I'm a communications major, and I think that works out well for me because I'm a pretty solid communicator, I feel like. So being able to take classes that help me enhance my ability to communicate really, I feel like is really helpful because it's a major that I like and I can do. And just the subcategories for classes like communication through pop culture. I'm in that class right now. It's like something that I really like because I'm young and I like social media. I'm all over social media, and I feel like that's just a class that I enjoy.
So, Charles, can you help me? At 53, I have no idea what I'm doing on social media. I'm supposed to be this present guy who's communicating with the best young athletes, baseball and softball, in the world. I can pay you. NIL allows it now. Charles, can you help me?
I was going to ask that too.
Yeah, I can help you. I can definitely help you.
Yeah, I definitely need help. I need help, Charles. Dani can attest to that.
I was going to ask if you could give him any tips, honestly. So we're on the same page here. You are very good at communicating. Actually, we're on a program online that's going over the internet, so there's like pauses, but it looks like you're thinking about what you're saying and you're being intentional about your words, which is that I'm picking up on that. So I think that's awesome that you're getting that from your classes. As it translates to the field and the college game that you're playing, how do you use that to your advantage? Are there ways that you find?
Yeah, there was actually a class I took my freshman year called interpersonal communication, and I think that really helped me. It's helping me now more because it was like more for talking to younger people, and so what I use there is like I try to be a leader. It's like do it. It's because I'm a good communicator, but it's just a little bit hard for me to say the right thing. So I feel like try to say do as I do, not as I say, because I can't really find the right things to say all the time. So with the younger guys,
Okay.
I just try to help them along, let them know like, you may not be where you want to be, but you can still get there. Like, just be a good teammate, and everything will work out for you.
I would wonder too if so your classes help you, but your family and their athletic history and how close you are with your family, is that something that you also maybe picked up on, maybe subconsciously from those in your family who have found success at the pro level?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Even though that, no, I don't think anybody in my immediate family or that I'm close with has played baseball or understood it. They did a very good job helping me along, getting me the help I needed. So that's very good.
Yeah, I would imagine a huge resource. The McAdoo name, for me, this is where being old gives me an advantage. Bob McAdoo, one of my favorite players, as a Lakers fan, 80s Showtime Lakers fan. He worked with Kareem and played center. And, of course, James Michael McAdoo. They've got, 4 rings between them. James Michael McAdoo, 2 of your cousins when we speak of that. Talking about other sports, football. You played it, and you played it really, really well at a storied program like De La Salle. Your senior year, you didn't stop where many do and specialize on baseball. You guys were an incredible, 12-2, one of the top teams in the country. So for me, I'm curious, football, impact you? Do you still look back on it? Did you covet the time that you played? And has the experience as a football player made you a better baseball player?
I think it's one of the like it's like a once in a lifetime experience playing football, especially at the program I played at. It was a very storied football program, and I think that's also what made it a lot more fun for me. I think it helped me in a lot of ways. Just like they weren't just big on football. They're big on discipline and like your life skills too. Like you can't really be they didn't want you to just take lessons from football out of playing there. They wanted to take life lessons and you know, also with that we there was like bonds in there that you can't really break. And I still San Jose. There's still people that I play football with that came here that I'm fairly close with, and there's a few friends that are all over the country that I'm still talk to and I'm friends with from football. So I believe that was like an experience for me. It was one of the better ones.
Yeah, you guys were so good. What an incredible storied program. You played St. Thomas Aquinas your senior year. You guys ended up playing St. John Bosco, I believe, for the state title. So many legends coming out of De La Salle as I drift into another lane. Let's get back in this lane, though. Can you visualize, can you think about, can you conceptualize is probably the best word, what it may look like this summer and the opportunities that you've created for yourself? Now, you've busted your tail. There's no doubt you've busted your tail, but you've come so far from where you were in high school to where you are now at a mid-major school. Can you pause and conceptualize all of it and let it sink in just a little bit?
It means a lot, actually. It means a lot that I'm able to be in this position. It's a blessing. Yeah, it's a blessing, and I could thank God, thank my family, because one of my football coaches says like the reason why you're here because somebody gave a crap about you. Like play for that last name, play for your last name. You know, play well, play hard, make sure there's no doubts on it. It's a blessing to be in this position.
It's refreshing just to put a cap on that. Dani and I talk with a lot of these athletes that have accomplished what you're accomplishing, and they will kind of steer clear of discussing it, maybe saying that, okay, I'm just worried about my team or the next game. I understand that, but I don't necessarily believe that, because when you've worked as hard as you have and accomplished what you have and have had some good luck along the way, maybe faith plays a role too, to arrive here and not acknowledge it and not think about it. It's not inauthentic, but I kind of think you're squashing that emotion a little bit too much. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Let's dive in real quick to Michael and Wanda, because we've talked a lot about the family, but what attributes do you think you take from each? And I also was told that grandma is a big part coming to watch your games as well. So introduce us to her, but what kind of attributes do you get from your parents?
From my mom, dedicated, relentless, and she ran track at Cal, and she moved to California when she was around, I believe it was a junior in high school. She was from New York, and she moved out here, had to live on her own, and she got a scholarship to run track at Cal, and I don't like to say this, but she was pretty fast, but I don't think she's faster than me, even though she did run track, but. Yeah, she was really fast, and from what I was told, she ran against an Olympian and lost by a little bit. I don't remember the name of the Olympian that she ran against, but yeah, she ran against an Olympian and she barely lost. And there's stories that she broke her foot and somehow she kept running. I don't know how she did that, but yeah, she just kept going. And my dad, oh my God, he is one of the hardest working people that I know. He played football, basketball in high school, went to college to play basketball. He when I was younger, he had three jobs, I believe. He'd work 2 jobs on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and he'd work at FedEx on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and he'd get back at like 3 a.m. So, yeah, those are the hardest working people I know.
Sorry, I'm trying not to tear up over here. And Grandma, can you tell me a little bit about Grandma who's coming to your games?
Oh, Granny? I think Granny's a good luck charm because she's every time she's at the game, I look at her and I wave at her and she's always smiling at me. Oh, yeah, Granny's just she's been through everything. I know she's a little bit older, but I swear she's been through everything. And she has a lot of good life experience. And you know, tell her because she would my mom and dad, they would work all day, and I'd just be with her in the summer, and she'd every time I get bored or stop watching TV, she'd just tell me a story about like a time in her life, and I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, how'd you do that?
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that.
Perfect Game College Baseball drops every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern on Perfect Game TV. Now, we understand it's not live TV, so you can watch it in the archives after that. Hunter Pence is my co-host. He lives and breathes college baseball. For someone who's kind of maybe moving back to the big leagues as a broadcaster and also as a coach, we see that transition happening with Pence, and he's crazy on social media. He loves college baseball. So he and Scott Berry started chopping it up, the head coach of Southern Miss. Here's my one takeaway. You'll hear some baseball talk, some player talk in there. Scott Berry, the new college baseball rules. We've listened to a lot of coaches that don't like them. Scott makes it clear. Get in the box. Zip it. Here's Hunter and Scott.
Yeah, Scott, it is a wild system that is the NCAA baseball. But I got to say, it is an honor and a privilege to get to talk to you and the amount of experience and what you've been able to accomplish in the baseball world at the college level. Scott, last year coming off 47 wins, pitching, you guys are known for pitching. And, man, I know it was Liberty. It's one series. It's early. But can you talk a little bit about this amazing series your pitching staff had, how everyone looked? There was a lot of numbers, a lot of guys that looked really good, a lot of strikeouts. Tell us a little bit about the staff this year and how they showed up for you this weekend.
Well, very pleased with the 8 gentlemen that we put out there in the 3 games. We had tremendous starts from Tanner Hall, who was a All-American last year, pitched for Team USA, preseason All-American again this year. Certainly went out and did what Tanner Hall does. He gave you 5 innings in his first start of the year and was really, really good with that start. Matt Adams took game 2 for us, a young man that came on at the end of the year. Last year was really pleasant to see that because moving forward, we knew we were going to have to put somebody in that spot in the weekend this year, and Matt grabbed that and caught our attention last year and really played and pitched well on Saturday. And then another guy, Nico Mazza, was our 3rd starter on Sunday. He covered 5 1/3 innings. A guy that really got logjam between a really, really deep staff last year as a true freshman, only appeared in 5 1/3 innings last year, but really groomed him for a starter this past fall, and I thought he performed very, very well. Bullpen pitched well, only gave up 1 extra base hit in the 3 games. That was in the 9th inning of Game 3 on Sunday. We gave up a home run, but outside that, we never gave up an extra base hit, and performed really well.
Yeah, you could say that again. And I wanted to dive just a little bit deeper. I don't know how to pronounce this name correctly, but just going through the stat lines, Cross Sibley with 8 strikeouts and 4 innings of relief appearance. Tell us a little bit about his outing and what you saw from him and what was the strikeout pitch, what was working for him, because 8 strikeouts out of relief in 4 innings is pretty remarkable.
Well, great story, Hunter. The young man was a redshirt freshman this year. Really last year, made the decision just because, 1, we had a really deep staff, but 2, he just wasn't ready to go. And then honestly, this fall, he didn't really show that he was going to be ready as well, but came back from Christmas and performed. His bullpen started out just really good. Our pitching coach, who's outstanding, Christian Ostrander, he's also my associate head coach, kept telling me after bullpens, hey, man, I think Sibley's going to help us. Coach, it's really good stuff. And so then we started using him obviously in preseason scrimmages. He performed really well. He's a young man, a 3-pitch guy that has tremendous arm side run with his fastball from the left side, a really deceptive breaking ball. And I guess, the biggest thing that we've seen out of Cross is that his stuff has been there, but the ability to control and attack the zone, that's what's been showing up. And certainly it did that on Saturday with his first career win and in his debut as a Division I pitcher.
I really feel like, for me, to get deep on this, deep, this is the best hair podcast we have ever had. Charles McAdoo's hair is unmatched. And I'm sure he's complimented when I say that. Rhett Lowder's hair is crazy long, and it's unique to say the least for someone who's working out on the back 40, working on the land. You got to pull it up in a ponytail. There's a lot going on with the hair. I love the hair in this podcast. That's my first takeaway, because this is a visual medium as well. I love the hair on this podcast.
Oh, that's
I got a name for you, as a matter of fact. I got a name for you.
Okay.
Because you come up with such creative names, right? when you edit this, here's what it needs to say. Because of the draft coming up, okay? Amateur hour. Hair today, gone tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah, he's a dad.
Because they're hair today, here, right here, hair, but then they're gone
tomorrow.
to pro ball tomorrow, right?
Put that in my back pocket. Yeah, that's not
All
bad.
right, well, that'll do it. Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Their
Is that
hair,
it?
hair today, gone tomorrow. I mean, I'll put it into consideration. I'll put it on the spreadsheet. I know the guys will appreciate it. Maybe they'll get some hair deals out of this. Who knows? Some sponsorships? I don't know. No?
Are we
All
supposed
right.
to be serious because both the interviews were serious and amazing and touching?
Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah.
But life's too short to miss out on good hair. That's
They have
all
great
I know.
hair. They have really good hair. Great personalities. And actually,
Amazing.
This wasn't on the podcast, but Rhett did mention there's a little hair care involved with what he does. That was pre-conversation. But I thought they were great. These guys are awesome. You know what I love, actually, is that they are going to get drafted, and they're going to join a team, and their teammates are just going to love them. They're just so likable, and they're so, like, they're like, I feel like they're really good teammates. So they have great hair, great teammates, and they're on a great podcast. We went off the rails here, so.
We want to let everyone know to subscribe. You go ahead and click that subscribe button.
Please.
Smash that like button.
Wow.
And do that. I'm stealing this from one of my favorite Lent podcasts where the youngsters, the kids of the presenter, say that at the end. Click that subscribe button, smash that like button. They do it way better than I do. I'll send it over, edit it in,
Why
because
are
it's
you-
way better than mine.
Why do we have a
That's what
thumbs
they do.
up?
It's very cool how they do it. It's so like they smash it. They smash it.
We smashed this podcast.
It's a great podcast, by the way. It's a daily podcast. The Catholic in me, I love listening to it. But one of the best parts is the end when his kids remind you, hey, subscribe. He's way more in touch than I am. He's way better at getting subscribers. There are like millions of subscribers for him. So I just thought maybe I'd say smash that like button.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna help our numbers grow. Our numbers will grow, and we're grateful. Daron will give away something if you subscribe and follow him on Twitter. Stay tuned.
I don't need to follow her on Twitter. I like my tiny community. I'm an introvert on Twitter, for sure. Don't feel the need to follow me on Twitter unless you really want amateur baseball,
Life is
amateur
great.
softball.
Sut.
That's it. Amateur baseball, amateur softball content. There are no opinions. I'm smarter than that at all about anything. There are no stories about my flights being delayed at all. I'm not adding airlines. I'm not adding rental car companies. That's not, to me, what Twitter is for. Others feel that way. You'll be bored by me unless you're into amateur baseball and amateur softball. That's all you'll get.
All right, so he'll give something away.
I'm not adding restaurants because they add 20% to my bill because I had a party of 6. I'm not doing that.
Bye, everybody.